I want to make sure that we get this right. Okay. So there's going to be five major sections to this review. Okay? Configurability, aesthetic, weight, clicks, and shape. This is a mouse review, so these are the things I think are pretty important. For all like technical stuff, like, you know, whether or not it's like the right hand size for you and how the sensor performs and all that kind of stuff, Rocket Jump Ninja knows his shit. But I basically am coming at this from an RTS perspective. He's an FPS competitive player. I don't know if he's like pro, but he's been playing forever, and that's his like angle. So obviously everyone in here, at least right now, I don't know if we'll pick anybody up from just chatting. Like I play RTS, and the things you need for RTS are completely different from what you need for like FPS. So, basically we're going to start with configurability. Oh, right. So, last thing we're going to do. So, at the end of every section, I'm going to look at the chat, and we're going to see if you guys have any questions. If you guys meme or whatever, it's fine. I don't care. But I'm not going to, like, respond to that. I'm going to try and keep it, like, you know, pointed. So, if you have a question about configuring the mouse, or, like, how that works, then I'll answer it. And you have, like, at the end of the thing before I move on to ask any questions. Okay. So. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is configurability. And honestly, this mouse, the Model O, is an extremely simple mouse to configure. There's the software, which I have like up on my screen right now, has like nothing going on, and it has onboard memory, so you just change the values in the software and then that's it. Like, you can plug the mouse in anywhere. You can obviously turn all the lights off and stuff, so I'll show you the software right now. Oh, right, I gotta change the knobs. One sec. I should also do... Why wouldn't it? Okay. So the software here is basically like DPI and color and like what the buttons do, and that's it. So you can turn the lights completely off, right? Like I put my single color orange for Jim. And then, you know, like I could turn the brightness all the way down. I guess down to 25. LED off. Now it's got no lights at all. Right? Oh, liftoff distance is there. Like, I hadn't even gone into this because the mouse just worked right out of the box. 1000 hertz. Right? It's pretty straightforward. So the only cool thing about this mouse, I think, that, like, from a configurability standpoint, because obviously the software is exactly what it looks like, that I haven't really seen on any other mice, and I don't know if this is just because I haven't purchased enough mice, but the DPI color button is really good, because I can, like, change my DPI, and then I know whether or not my DPI is correct by the color here. See that? Which is kind of nice. So now I know I've got my 800 DPI button on, right? And that's basically it for configuration. Like, you know, it works exactly like you'd expect. It's got the onboard memory, so you change it, and it's like perfectly fine. I won't cover the cable during this because somebody talked about the cable and stuff. That's probably for a different spot. I'll say, I guess maybe weight. Yeah, I'll cover the cable and weight. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like, there's not a lot of configuration you're gonna find here. Like, it's got its like light modes, and that's about it. So for aesthetics, obviously this is a great looking mouse. This is like exactly the amount of RGB that I would like put up with. And it's not a wireless mouse, so the RGB doesn't like drain battery. It looks good, just a little bit on the sides. And I think one of the biggest things is that the color coming through the mouse has actually grown on me over time too. Because I'm not a big RGB guy. Like I just really just don't care. But I have thoroughly enjoyed like the aesthetic of this mouse. I think it looks good. I think the honeycomb pattern looks good as well. And the logo is like super tasteful, you know? Like I think the logo looks pretty dope. I don't know about you guys, but it's not like one of those crazy looking gaming logos, but at the same time, it's also like very present. It's got some flair. I think it looks good, you know? Yeah. So not too much about the aesthetics. It's a good looking mouse. I've seen ugly mice. This mouse looks good. That's about it for me on that. So now we get into the parts of this mouse with a lot more opinion and like how I feel about it, and that's the first is weight. This mouse comes in at 67. See the 67, 68, and the glossy comes in 1 gram heavier. So this mouse is the mouse I've used. I was using this mouse before. This is the AAA extension. That's how you know I'm serious, right? It says a AAA inside of this. And this is like 82.5, 83. Something like that. And this is, I think, 80, right? I've used both these mice. And I thought these were really light. Like, but this is on a level that, like, isn't even... It's not even fair. And I'll get into like how that affects how you hold it and stuff in a bit, but as far as the weight's concerned, like I honestly I could use this mouse like 12 hours a day and you wouldn't even feel it. I would feel like even if you like didn't lift or do any like, you know, exercise or anything to strengthen like the forearm or the shoulder, like this mouse would do wonders for not causing any strain over time. Like obviously you don't run into that problem with an 80 gram mouse, but this just really feels like light, and it's on this like borderline for weight. I think that it still has substance to it. Like you still feel like you're holding something. There's something there, but it's not like heavy, you know? Like I throw this thing around like it's nobody's business. And I guess we can cover the cable here. The cable is like really flexible. It's the best cable I've used on any mouse to date. I've used like the rubberized ones and the stiffer braided ones, but this cable, like you look at it and it looks really dumb, but it's just so like it retains its shape, but it's super light, so you don't get it it never tangles. Like it just sort of chills, and even though there's drag, like you don't really feel it. It doesn't increase the weight of the mouse at all, because like usually when you have a mouse with a heavy cable like the G Pro, the wired version of this one before the Hero sensor, that was just a nightmare, man. Like you would just move it and the mouse felt way heavier than it was because the cable drag was absolutely insane. But yeah, so the weight, it's ludicrous how light this like 67 grams feels, even compared to an 80 gram mouse. I thought this was like hella light, but this is on a level it's not even close. All right, do you guys have any questions? I forgot to ask or offer like ask if you guys had questions after aesthetic and configurability, but I have nothing to say. There's nothing to say about them. It's completely subjective in those ones. But wait, I wonder if you guys have any questions about it. Also, somebody like you guys can ask and I'll say something. Somebody asked if I'm selling this. No, I'm reviewing this mouse because I want to, and that's it. I am not taking sponsorships from anybody ever. I'm staying on that. If you want to support me, Patreon's the way. How much weight do you think is taken off the holes? Probably like 10 grams. This would probably be like an 80 gram mouse. Maybe 85. What do I think about the mods, such as adding a real paracord? Also, what are your thoughts on the default skates? Bro, the default skates are some of the best I've used. It's slippier than both of these mice. Like, I like it. It slides really well, and I've never modded with the G skates. Like they're not the G skates. There's another. I don't remember what they're called. They might be G skates. I know what you mean. I've never found myself wanting to do that. I haven't really cared, to be honest. But these are great. These are great. By far the best I've used. The Hyperglides. That's it. They call these G skates, right? They have these have no noticeable latency, California Rays. So these are like wired mice, pretty much. Now in theory they're a little bit more, but not that any test could ever tell, just because they're wireless. So take that for what you will. I used both of these for about 8 months each, and yeah, so these were my mains before. And paracord, I've never used a paracord either. This is like apparently very close to paracord. People say that there's not that big a difference, except for aesthetic, really. There's probably a little bit of a difference. The paracord's probably a little bit better since it's what they do. They make cables. They have an effect in shooters. Like, when I say that these are like you can't tell, like no latency test like that shows 3-digit latency, like 300 milliseconds or whatever, can see a difference between these and this. So like there is no difference that you could tell ever. Maybe on the level of like nanoseconds, but there's no way you'll ever notice that. It will make a difference. It even, like, we had this conversation last time, it will outperform. So it's important to say that because obviously you're comparing mice that are not, this is not a problem, right? Okay, so on to clicks then. So clicks is the weight is really where this mouse like shines, and all of my positive things to say probably come from the weight. The clicks, however, are not something I liked. I suppose I should actually say the thing I do like. So if there's two real aspects to judge the clicks on, then one of them I loved and one I don't like much. And that's the actual comfort grooves. The reason I abandoned this mouse is because of how much I absolutely loathe the comfort grooves on it. It has them in this really weird fucking spot that doesn't make any sense to my hands. Like I tried to love it. It has good clicks and very low click travel, but I could not stand where the comfort grooves were. It's the same thing with the Death Adder. Like the Death Adder is a legendary mouse. A lot of people love it. I could not stand how the comfort grooves were like spread out and my fingers were like this and you were just stuck like that. And if you wanted to hold the mouse properly, it's just where you were. Whereas with this mouse, the comfort grooves are like they're noticeable, but they're at the bottom of the click. They're at the bottom of the click part, the right click or left click. So you get like an area here, like there's a whole zone where your fingers could go, and it kind of works really well. I love that. I think these guys nailed that. And there's no complaints there. My issue comes with the clicks. So as I unboxed it, so like showing you the click volume and stuff, but I'll do that again. Hold on, I'll compare it. And then for this, okay. I accidentally just changed the song too, it's funny. Okay, so on the subject of like the click stiffness, right? If we're talking about clicks, the click stiffness is what killed me. It is like, so this is where we talk about like from an RTS perspective. If you're in here and you're an RTS player, this is probably going to be the part where you're like, okay, what's the why is this bad? Like these are way lighter for some reason. So Yoshimasa is saying that they're the same switches, but they do not feel like the same switches. They are tuned to be way stiffer. Like they don't feel as light as the G Pro wireless and the G305. Like to me, these are tuned way like harder to press. And for an FPS, that's probably perfect. But for RTS, you do a lot of spam clicking, right? When I play, there's a lot of boxing. There's a lot of right click. And and for that reason, man, like, I took a while to get used to. I was actually really worried it wasn't gonna work out. I was really worried it wasn't gonna work out. But that's with the clicks. It's like my problem with it. So if you're an FPS player, you probably don't give a shit because that's probably good. You know, you're not clicking as much, and you probably want the tension. I don't know. I don't play FPS competitively, but I can imagine because it is designed to be like the best FPS mouse, right? That's what they wanted. So yeah, the clicks feel tighter, like they're heavier than these two mice. Specifically, I thought I'd go back to the G305 because of it, but I'll wrap that up in will it be? I have a last one, you know, final thoughts type of deal. So we'll talk about whether or not I'll get past that later. So Drake asked about it. Do you think this will be affected by use? I don't know. I don't know if clicks get lighter than like over time. I don't think I've ever worn in a mouse so much that became the case. If anything, I feel like you would ruin the travel. Like they would have more click travel over time, but I don't know. I haven't noticed it. If anything, they feel the same as when I got it. So what's the price difference between the three? Actually, I should do that. I'll do that now because that's a good question. Even though it breaks the review. Okay, the immersion is busted. Sorry if you're watching this on YouTube, but you can see the questions in the top right there. This is $49.59 depending on sales and whatnot. This was $59 USD, right? And this is $159. And there's a whole reason as to why this is so expensive. It's 80 grams, wireless built in, and they had to do a bunch of crazy R&D for it, so it's expensive as hell. It's very good though. It's a great mouse. The shape killed it for me. So I guess that's what we're getting into next here. And I suppose I'll compare them and why I sort of moved from this one to that one to this one. It was actually this one to that one to this one to that one. So the shape here is a very weird conversation to have because I hate the shape of this mouse. Everything about this mouse, the comfort grooves, the length is a little bit. Well, actually, no, the length is perfect. I like the length of this mouse. That's where the shape ends. The hump is in a shit spot. And, you know, like it feels like a narrow mouse, but I don't mind that. It's high at the end. I don't know how, it's not like that good. I just didn't really feel like I was comfortable using this mouse. I never felt like I could get my fingers into a spot I liked here. I always kind of felt like I was struggling to keep the mouse under control. And it was a stark contrast to using the G305 where I felt like I had like a good grip on it all the time. And I could kind of, you know, fingertip grip it pretty well. And I could like, you know, spam the shit of it. But it's a small mouse. What made a huge difference was putting in the battery, right? Getting that AAA, getting it down to 62.5, 63, or 82.5, 83 grams, whatever the hell that is. It's really light. It was important, not because the weight was bothersome, but because of the battery, it's all back end loaded, right? It's all back end loaded, and because of that, the weight balance is off. So you always feel like when you fingertip grip this mouse, like if you claw grip this mouse, if your hands are small, this is sick. But if you fingertip grip this mouse, it always feels a little off because the ass end of it's always hitting the mouse first. And so you're constantly boxing and you're picking it up. And then this mouse is just like kind of off. It's not what you want, but it's amazing. Like, again, we're speaking on terms of endgame, right? Like every time I say something is like kind of off or whatever, these are all 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 mice. Perfect performers. Excellent mice. And honestly, for somebody, each one of these is an endgame mouse. Like, I don't want to shit on them, but for me personally, I picked this mouse up. Everything is perfect except for the ass hits the bottom first. A little bit short. So if we were like, my ideal mouse would be G305 with this length, right? You can see that they're quite different in length. Because my hands are 19.5 centimeters, this feels pretty short. The AAA helped a lot, actually. So then now I've moved on, so like I'm kind of leading into this mouse, right? And I like to compare it to the mouse I was using before. The shape is odd. it doesn't really slope inwards, right? Much, so you don't get a good grip on it, right? And then it flares out at the edges as well, which is kind of weird to get used to. And the hump is really far forward, okay? It's really far forward, so it's like worse than this for that. And so you might wait, streamer, what? Streamer? Not you said, like, that's all of the things about this mouse. How do you hate the shape, but use this thing? I guess we'll go straight into final thoughts with this. And it's important that I really, like, because it took me about 3 days. I'm trying to get to this point. It took me about 3 days before I was like, this is the mouse. This mouse is so fucking light that I don't even think it matters, like, how you hold it, like what your grip style is. Because this mouse is fucking huge. I fingertip grip this mouse. And I would never have said that about any mouse like this size or, you know, any bigger mouse or whatever. This mouse is so insanely light with no balance issues, because balance is a huge part of it, that I fingertip grip this. So after I got used to the clicks, right, this mouse slowly became just amazing. It's an incredible mouse to use because the weight is unfair. Like, if this mouse had this weight and balance, or this mouse had this weight and balance, it would also be on its level, but I think it's like way better than these, because the weight allows you to grip it however the fuck you want, right? I can really just, like, I could use this forever. I'd never feel like I get tired, you know? I grip it however I want. I hold it like, you know, I hold it however I want. I could just, and that's kind of the mark of a good mouse, is that it feels very comfortable. And this mouse feels extremely comfortable. Like, if I want, I can't claw grip it, and that's kind of my only complaint. I can only fingertip grip this mouse because there's no ass. Like, I don't know what they were trying to do, but like, when you look at this mouse, like, the fucking bump is all the way at the front. Like, Jesus Christ. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's, if there's a title, the title of this review is review and chill. It just all doesn't fucking matter. It's irrelevant. It's too light. It's way lighter than these, and the comfort grooves are good. And so it's important to mention that. The hardest part for me was figuring out where to hold it on the sides, and it's fine because the comfort grooves are dope, right? So as long as my fingers go where they're supposed to, right, then boom. Okay, so I'll bring this up. Yeah, of course there's no donation thing because this is a review, but it said so right. Hold on. Right there. See? Your name's there. Okay. I should put that somewhere. But I appreciate the donation. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, so, of course, naturally, if these are my final thoughts, this is 100% going to be my main. Like, I do feel like going back is a step backwards. Yeah. It's fucking great. I love using this mouse. I feel like it was an honor to buy it. Like, for the price, it's insane. You know, like $59.99. Final mouse button, dude. Yeah. So what do you guys... Okay, so any questions at all? You know? Bring them up now. And then I'll make sure to mark it, and then we'll call it a day. But, yeah. This is not made by the same company, Padrami. This is not made by Final Mouse. This is made by Glorious. This is a competitor. Is it worth the $100 markup? No, because they're printing new ones. Don't buy this mouse for more than $59. It's okay, Padrami. Don't worry about it. But dude, thank you again for the guy who donated. Thank you very much. Like, I just want to make sure that it's clean. And I probably shouldn't even mention that because it kind of ruins the immersion, but you know, I don't want to seem like a person who just doesn't give a fuck. I think the shape is exactly an FK1 because they worked heavily with mouse review and like just the subreddits in general, and that's what people wanted. So no, I don't sponsor. No. So this channel, I'm gonna say this right now so you guys all know. My goal for doing this stuff is two things. One, I want to review because I want to review. And I don't think anyone really reviews mice from an RTS perspective. We're RTS players, okay? Like, we're all RTS people. And I see all these FPS reviewers, so I want to do something for the RTS people. And second of all, whenever I do any reviews, I purchased it. It was purchased off my wish list, or I'm buying it with money from Patreon. My Patreon is 100% to fund the morning podcast and this kind of stuff, and to make sure I keep doing it. So if you want to support this kind of shit, and you have the funds, whatever, Patreon's the way. Because I'm not taking sponsorships. I refuse. I think that it kind of butchers the, like, if the companies are sending you stuff, like, it just, even if you are being unbiased, it just feels like you're being biased sometimes. You know, people call even the most unbiased YouTube reviewers who accept stuff like shills, and I'm not going to be that guy. Everything I review here will be from either you guys or, you know, my wish list, or I purchased them myself. So don't worry about that. Yeah, my opinion is mine. My opinion could be shit, but it's mine. It's how I fucking feel. I love using this thing. I think it's great. I enjoy it immensely, and it's because I do. If it sucked ass, I'd tell you. Do you use a bungee? Yeah, I use a bungee. The bungee doesn't feel super necessary because the cable is extremely light. Although I don't have the reference of a paracord, so I don't know how much better it is than that. This mouse, I fingertip grip it. Like I said, it's so light that even though it's pretty big, you're able to fingertip grip it, and because it's actually properly balanced, it hangs there with no effort, right in the middle, doesn't tilt forward, doesn't tilt back. Very nice. I feel like I get a lot of control on it. I fingertip grip this as well, but I wish I could claw grip it because it would be super good for that. My natural grip is claw. Like, I prefer to rest my hand on the back of it. Like, the hump here is way backloaded. That's what you want in an RTS mouse for claw grip. The back end is you know, big ass. Have I used the actual Final mouse? No, I have not. And honestly, they're very similar. They're both in weight and shape, so I don't see why I would. I've only heard memes about Final mouse. Okay. All right. What did you say, Inferno? Let's make sure, Inferno. What am I avoiding here? Yeah, like I said, again, this thing's light, so you're gonna be able to get it. No, I don't have donation notifications. Hold on, let me look at that. I had my notes open over top of it. That's my bad. That's my bad. Please tell me you are an intellectual like myself and can appreciate the architecture and style of the profound Logitech Trackman. What is that? What is a Logitech Trackman? You're killing my review, but now the curiosity. Oh my god, it's a trackball mouse. Get out of here with that shit. Thank you for the 4. Ah, okay. All right. Do we have any more questions? If not, we're gonna cut it. What's my opinion on grip tape? Grip tape looks sick. You ever get those, dude? You ever get those people? Do you ever get those people who, like, you see that on the mouse review? They cut it like so perfectly, it like goes around like, and it looks so good. I want to be that guy, but I know that if I tried to cut that grip tape, that grip would be in and under here and shit, and it would be peeling at the edges and shit, and then it wouldn't look like ass, so I don't even bother with it. It's my own thing, you know, it's me. Would I tell all the G305 users to get the Model O? G305, if you have like, there's a hand size for the G305. If my hands were shorter, this would be my mouse for sure. Just because it'd be claw for me and not fingertip. But this mouse is too short for me to fingertip or for me to claw properly. Because like, instead of being like, if this is my grip here, right? In order to claw grip this mouse, I need to be like this, right? And over time, man, like it strains in here quite a bit. And I play 8 hours a day, so like you can't, this is way more natural feeling. So if my hands were shorter, this would be way better because I wouldn't have to pick it up as much and the back-ended thing wouldn't be a problem. You know? But yeah, like this mouse again, it's so light that I can just, because I can fit, like, because the middle section here is like kind of brought in, tapered in, I can get my fingers in the right spot there. It just kind of works out really well. If you have bigger hands, this is the shit though. For sure. If you have 19 centimeter plus hands, I think, yeah, I would move to this. Yeah, the orange colorings are LED, and it kind of shines in. Yeah, and you can program them to anything. I kind of went over it in the software. All right. Yeah, it's the things you'd expect and can see are programmable. Like it's got a few options. It's got like breathing and all that sort of stuff. What mouse is this? This is the Model O. Opinion on ventilation? It took a little bit. So the ventilation thing, people keep saying, "Oh, you're gonna get crap in it or whatever," but like, no, you're not. If you do, you'll never notice. Like, you're not gonna see it. That's not a really big like issue. It was kind of like weird because you can feel the vents, like you can feel the honeycomb pattern. It's like kind of weird, like feeling on the hand, but yeah. I like it. Looks good aesthetically, and it makes it lighter, so it won't compromise the internals. People have been using their final mice long enough. Like the internals will be fine. Don't worry about that. Why use this mouse out of the three? So the first thing, price. Like, it's a cheap mouse. Pretty much as cheap as this. As far as a wired mouse is concerned, hits all the boxes. Sick cord, lightweight, very safe, quality shape, good skates. You know, good scroll wheel. But I don't really care about scroll. RTS again, just don't give a shit that much. But yeah, honestly, like, it hits all the boxes for a wired mouse. It's obviously not a wireless mouse, so with these you don't get cable drag. But the cable is really light here, so sheer shady, it'll be fine. It'll probably be fine. I can't imagine it wouldn't be fine. But maybe it won't. So don't, if you buy a mouse and then it doesn't work out because you got hair in it and it broke or whatever, like, you know, blame your genetics. Yeah, and then again, the weight here is just, it allows you to really grip it however the hell you want. And that's one of those things that you can't really, it's difficult to explain. Like, I guess if being able to hold and use a mouse in whatever way you want is like the end goal of a mouse, that it feels like a perfectly comfortable thing. You should always feel like you're just sort of resting your hand on a mouse and that you're using it without strain. And this mouse hits that. And I'm convinced that because it's so light, almost anybody would agree with that. The only people who would disagree with maybe people with smaller hands, or people who don't naturally grip it like this. They're like, you know, they're born claw grippers. Like, they refuse to not claw grip a mouse because, like I said, the ass is really far forward. I haven't used the G502. G502 is, let me make sure that I am thinking of the mouse that you've listed. Oh yeah, I hate that mouse. I understand why people use it, but I just don't feel like it's a very good shape for RTS at all. Like, with RTS, remember, you're like, obviously you play, so you want to box a lot, right? And at 121 grams is heavy as shit. But it, you know, I think it's roughly the same length. Like, it's the same size. But this is going to be a more competitive mouse. Like, it's just going to be easier to move. You can use it for longer periods of time. Shape is good. Yeah. You use 3 weights in your 502? Holy crap, bro. Yeah. I would say the G30 for small hands, 305 is amazing. I wouldn't steer you away from it. Like I said, these are all 9 out of 10 mice for their own specific reasons. And I would use this if my hands were smaller, even over this, because I could claw grip this, but I can't claw grip this. But it's too small. So I end up fingertip gripping this, and since I fingertip grip it, this is a better fingertip grip mouse for me because it's insanely light. How's the height on this mouse? I mean, it's low. It's low profile. Like, it feels... I think it's the same height as the 305. It's pretty low, to be honest. Like, feels low. And, again, I fingertip grip it, so... Palm gripping, it would probably be more... Like... I think palm grippers would be... I don't know. And I feel like it drags a lot. It's not very tall. I feel like this is a better palm grip mouse. I think it's preference, though. I would be wrong of me to say how I feel about palm gripping because I just don't do it. So I don't even know how I would hold this for palm. Again, like, I don't know why you would palm this mouse because it's so light. You could just carry it around. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how light it is. And that's, I guess, the end result. Do I prefer ambidextrous over ergonomic? No. No. If this were an ergo mouse, this would be endgame, I think, for me. I prefer, Mionix Caster had a sick shape. I love that mouse. The Rival 310, loved that mouse. Too heavy, bad clicks, but... Do you plan on doing other mouse reviews? Yeah. Actually, right now on my list is this mouse, but with the cable, the new Hero one, because the cable's better. Like, and whatever new mice comes out, yes, I'm going to continue on the review path. So far, we've reviewed, we unboxed this, and we memely reviewed the Kindle Paperwhite. Or not reviewed it, but we unboxed that. But that's because I got it on my wish list, so I figured we'd do that. And then now this. But yeah, as new mice come out, like, I'm looking at the MM710 when it happens. Then I'll buy one of those. For sure. Oh, G403? Yeah, sure. Again, this review is like my reviews are review and chill. Super laid back, okay? I don't intend to rush things, just talk through it. So, G403 is definitely a taller boy. Like, and it's ergo, but I hated this mouse. So not mine. Like, I can't stand this thing. But the clicks are so good. Like, I love the clicks. And you can hear it too. They're so stiff. They click up, they come up so fast. Like, they're really good. But it's heavy. It's a heavy mouse. It's a big boy, first of all. But the thing about it is, you know how I said I found a way to grip this and so I like it? That I could not grip this son of a bitch. I just could not. My fingers could just never find the place. I couldn't. I just like I would try and claw grip it, but it felt like I was just sort of, I don't know. It's just wrong. Maybe because the comfort grooves are in a bad spot for claw gripping for me. Yeah, I mean, if you have huge hands, then maybe. But I don't know. I don't know. But I've heard that about this. Like, if you can't get used to it, you're just never going to. And I agree with that. That sentiment is something I agree with. I tried to play with this mouse for like 2 months. And I never got used to it. I think this is a good Death Adder competitor, but just because the comfort grooves are good, and it's roughly the same size, right? But it's not ergo, so I don't know. Like I said, sick mouse cause light, pretty much. I won't do my. Maybe I'll do my DAC setup later, but not now. It's not very complicated, to be honest. Well, it's complicated because of the streaming PC thing, but it's not really that complicated in general. Okay. Anything else? Let's wrap up. Hit the mark button and call it a night. This has already gone pretty long, right? The software is extremely basic. And yes, you can adjust the color and stuff. Like, exactly what you think. There's like a breathing setting, a multicolored rainbow thing, like all sorts of crap. And the colors, yeah. I went over it very quickly in the software part, or the configurability part. You can turn the lights off, you can dim them, you can do whatever. It's perfectly good for that. Have I tried Finalist? No, I haven't. It's too expensive. And the company apparently is a meme, so I've avoided it. I think that's everything. I think that went well. Oh, remind the YouTube viewers to hit the red bell and icon and subscribe. No, but you know what I will do, actually, before we end this video. I'd like to shamelessly plug my Patreon. So this is my Patreon, okay? This is my sponsor, okay? This is the only sponsor I will ever have. I promise. Even if they offer me all the money in the world, okay? Because I don't want my opinion to be marred by, you know, whatever it is. So our goal, $500 a month so we can buy tech. If you want to support stuff like this is legitimately strictly for tech stuff and the morning podcast. This is literally not for my Twitch stream or anything like that. This is just for tech stuff. And there's 2 tiers. You get like a Discord color here, and I'll do credit stuff. So far, Ravi and Yoshmeister are my patrons, okay? And that's it. Okay? Alright, we'll cut it there. Alright, now that that's done,